Hey everybody, Shavo here, and I want to bring you a 1 versus 1 match. This is actually a match that one of my viewers sent to me, so I'm going to go ahead and cast it. It's against Celcius. He is the red Protoss spawning over here on the right, and Wolgast, the blue Zerg spawning up here at the top. The map is Lost Temple. It promises to be a pretty epic game, so to say, so I guess we'll see what happens. Let's speed her up a little bit just to get past all the boring stuff. We got Celcius building a piling over here and sending out his quick, fast little probe over there. And it looks like Wolgast is going to see what Celcius is doing over here by sending his Overlord out. Getting a early extractor from Wolgast and pushing a spawning pool out, so that's usually a sign of a speedling build, and we got a fast expansion coming out over here by Wolgast as well. So he is doing an interesting build. I don't know why he's fast expanding if he's doing a speedling build, but I guess whatever works for him. And Celcius is making a cybernetics core in the back over here, as well as double gateway, so he's making a whole bunch of zealots, so he's probably going to look into pushing out pretty soon here. And we've got a couple of zerglings out here by Wolgast. Slow it down a little bit here now. And we got the expansion is up, and he needs to do a little bit of drone transfer over there. He's doing ahead and spreading the creep with his first queen, or the queen's first energy. And we've got about 5 or so zealots being just kind of hanging out there, not really doing too much. We got Celcius researching the warp gate and another gateway. Let's look at APM. APM is about 40 to 45 for both players right now. Let's look at income. Income, Celcius is ahead of Wolgast, 23 to 17, which will grant him about 100 more minerals per minute and about 80 or so gas per minute ahead of Wolgast. So he's doing pretty well, and Wolgast has yet to actually saturate this, and he is just now saturating it with these 3 drones. So he actually took a while to saturate this one expansion over here. And that's kind of unfortunate, because you want to get that expansion saturated as quickly as possible. And it looks like the speed upgrade for the Zerglings just finished, and I don't see him as going any kind of lair tech as of yet. So he's a little bit late on the lair tech, but that's all right. He's got enough speedlings to counter against that, and he's got a couple of roaches as well. And he's building a few spine crawlers in the choke of his base just to kind of fortify his base just a little bit more. And we've got warp gates being completed and a robotics facility being thrown down on the 3rd gateway by Celcius, and he's also going ahead and deciding to expand as well. So it's a pretty big macro fest right now, not too much going on as of right now, and Wolgast still needs to saturate this a little bit more. He needs more than just 1 drone up there. Let's look at the unit tab. Looks like Celcius is got 5 zealots, 2 stalkers, 3 sentries, so those sentries are going to come into play or be really helpful when he decides to go ahead and engage. And right now they are just kind of sitting around macroing up, seeing what they can build. And I don't see a Hydra Den, as Wolgast is just going into a lair tech, so he really needed to get that lair tech a little bit sooner, but that's alright. And Celcius has got a pretty decent force over here. He's not really pushing anything else out. He's got a lot of minerals, so he's sitting on a bunch of minerals right now, and he really needs to put those to use, start warping in some units or something. And it looks like a Hydraless Den is being thrown down by Wolgast. And this expansion is almost completed, and he has got a little bit of oversaturation on his main, but I assume that that's because of the drone or the probe transfer that he's about to do, because this expansion just started or just completed. There's that drone transfer. Come on. Come on. There we go. Alright. So we've got 2 more gateways being thrown down over here. Nothing really being made out of this robotics facility as of yet. He's got 2 forges going down over there for some upgrades, and this drone, these probes over here just got to this expansion. Okay, so not too much going on. Building 2 evolution chambers by Wolgast for some upgrades. He has yet, and there it goes. He's starting to evolve the groove spines. Getting some Hydralis out here. Let's look at the units now. 2 Hydralis, 7 roaches, and 12 Zerglings by Wolgast against 6 zealots, 3 stalkers, and 4 sentries. But the thing is that Celcius has this one observer that's just kind of hovering over here, seeing exactly what Wolgast has, so he really needs to get an overseer over there pronto and take out that observer, because he's going to know the exact unit composition that Wolgast has, and he's going to be able to counteract that accordingly. I would assume that he would probably go something like Colossi to further counteract that, because that would be the perfect counter to these roaches and hydras and lings, is just throw some zealots in front and Colossi in the back and you are good to go. So we've got an upgrade being done by Wolgast. He is upgrading the missile attacks level 1. I would go for the carapace level 1 first, because that offers more of a benefit to you early on. Although this is technically isn't really early on. We have yet to see an engagement as of yet. It's still just a big macro game. But we do have some upgrades being thrown down here. We've got ground weapons level 1, and it looks like Celcius went ahead and killed the first unit out over here, and that was that poor little Zergling that was just doing his job, keeping watch of that Xel'Naga watchtower. Now, Celcius does have that, and Celcius is actually building a pylon right at the back over here, but luckily this Zergling is going to see that with the vision of the Xel'Naga watchtower, so Wolgast really needs to go and take out that pylon pronto before he gets any units warped in over here. But that's alright, because the units are just right here, so I guess it's not really that big of a difference. And he is just, Celcius is just sitting on these minerals like crazy. I don't know what he's doing with those minerals. He needs to really start using them. And he's building a robotics base, so he is going Colossi, so that is a good counter to this composition by Wolgast. So it looks like Wolgast is sending out. He's going to go ahead and try and take out this pylon. He's going to go ahead for the probe. Probe goes down, and he's going to be able to easily take out this pylon before Celcius is able to get there. And the pylon does indeed go down. But here comes the response by Celcius. He's going to go ahead and take out all of these. And he does a great force field placement over here and takes out all of these Zerglings. So those poor little Zerglings are now dead. And this force just kind of sat there and watched it. This observer is just sitting there laughing, saying, "Ha ha, I see you, but you can't see me," even though there are overlords waiting to be morphed into overseers at any given moment. Morph those overseers. So he looks like he made a little bit of a misclick, and he stacked those upgrades there. Let's look at the unit count now, as it looks pretty big. 22 roaches, 8 hydras against 8 zealots, 7 stalkers, and 6 sentries. So that's a pretty formidable force. But I think as soon as he gets this guy right here, that Colossus, that's going to greatly turn the tides into his favor, because that Colossus is really going to do some damage. He needs to be chrono boosting out this research, this extended thermal lance over here, because this, if Wolgast were to push out right now, he would be able to easily take this out. Although if Celcius were to do some good sentry force field placement, he would be in really good shape if he were to split these in half. And here comes the first major engagement of the game. Is he going to use these force fields? Here comes it. And he does. He splits up the forces, and these roaches are going to be easily taken out. He focuses down that Colossus and able to take it out. So now the tides have turned. Wolgast is doing pretty well, although these roaches are going to get stuck behind these force fields, and he needs to push in with these hydralisks. And he's going to be able to take all the zealots. He's going to force Celcius to move back to this one pylon to where he can morph in more troops. And this Colossus is up here on the high ground. He's going to be able to take out these hydralisks. He needs to pull back. Wolgast needs to pull back right now if he has any hope of surviving this, as he got 2 Colossus now, and he doesn't want to get force field in, so he needs to pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. And looks like Wolgast finally gets it and pulls back, because you need to pull back because this Colossus was just raining down the laser terror on those hydralisks. And let's take a look at the APM right now. 0 APM for both. Awesome. And this Overlord decided to get in on some of the fun and gets taken out rather easily. So now we have 2 Colossus on the field, this one with 3 kills over here, and this one ready and waiting to get some Zergling kills, or some Zerg kills rather. And what Wolgast needs to do right now is start building a spire, and that's exactly what he's doing. So he read my mind, and he needs to start getting some corruptors out here, because corruptors are a very good counter to these Colossi. But I don't know if he's going to have them in time, because Celcius is just sitting on 2,000 minerals. Goodness, he needs to throw down